We got some people on. Here we go. What's up, my people? As always, you know the drill. You should know it by now. If you're new here, the deal is if you're watching this live, hashtag live. If you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay. Let us know if you're transitioning into high ticket remote sales from a 9 to 5 or shift work. Let us know if you're a setter and you're looking to improve your skills. Let me know if you're a closer, if you're on the job hunt, whatever it is. Just let me know what you're doing, where you're at, and we'll cater some of these to make sure we're giving the most valuable information possible. This one I've been waiting for a while. This one I've been really excited for. I knew it was only a matter of time. A few little bumps in the road, as always. There's no smooth sailing in this industry.
Absolutely not.
But this is a person I've been really excited for because I think, one, I look for, there's a lot of people that are just super talented. They come in with all the tools and everything, and it's just, you know, they have every advantage and they're making millions of dollars. But for me, it's the accessibility. I want people to look at me and say, if that idiot can do it, then I can do it. And I look for people that have every excuse, every reason why not. The timing's bad. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. My parents, my spouse, my baby, this, that, the other thing. And they do it anyway. Those are my people. Because those are the people we can all learn from and grow from and we can relate to. And it makes it accessible and achievable for the regular person. Mm-hmm. This industry has changed my life. And I am one of those regular people. And so when I find one of those people and they're able to achieve what most people are after and what most people struggle, I want to give them the spotlight. And so I appreciate you for showing up. This is Ethan. He is UCM, basically alumni now. But I have had the honor of working with Ethan for a few months now. And the transformation has been unbelievable. There was a lot of talk early on. I was like, oh, this guy is really committed and he's talking a big game. And I've heard this before and I had my doubts and concerns and, you know, you get burned a few times and you're like, all right, slow down. But he backed it up. He did everything that he said he was going to do. He put some ridiculous statements out there and he followed through on them. And now he's living the life that most people are working towards. So Ethan, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Of course. That statement there at the end, living the life most people want to, or whatever the actual wording was. I didn't actually think, like, it kind of hits me that I am actually where I wanted to be. At least I'm still working towards goals, but like it is kind of crazy to hear you say it out loud and know that sort of pushing on the other side of that hill. Yeah. That we all see in front of us. So that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, you know, I get to see the before and after photo, right? I get to see the transformation from an outside perspective. It's your job to always hit the goal and have another one and another one and another one and never stay stagnant. But what we talked about on day one and what you're doing now is exactly what you said you were going to do and exactly what you wanted and exactly what you were working towards. And so, of course, once you hit that, then it's, oh, this is not enough. Next one and next one and next one, right? Like I've said before, I've always been let down by my achievements, but never let down by progress. And so there's always that next level. But you've accomplished everything that we set out to accomplish when we first started. And so let's back up and start there. How did you stumble upon this weird world of high ticket sales in the first place?
I think I got introduced to this the way that a lot of us do. I saw the faded ad. I saw the very faded ad saying, what was it, 21 days, you could be making 10K a month, this and that. There's a lot of high promises, but at the end of the day, it caught my attention. And there's a lot to be said about different people that teach sales skills, this and that. But at the end of the day, I got introduced that way. And I ran through that kind of a course. It was just videos on demand, nothing personal. And I got my feet wet. And once I started looking for a gig, I realized that I had basically no options. I was just looking at job posts. I was just looking at this and that. Like, it was It was weird, but I kind of venturing off into the future, but I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for
Basically just a
sure.
YouTube ad.
Yeah, I think most of us know that ad. And so one of the things with ads is it has to be targeted, right?
Mhm.
And these online marketers are very, very good at targeting. You get like, I think you can learn more from marketing than you can from navigating the high ticket sales space. If you want to learn how to target and market people that will buy, they've done a brilliant job. And so to be targeted, we have to be kind of looking or fit a profile. And so, why do you think, or what was happening in that time? Because typically they don't target people that are really happy in their current position, that are content, that are super successful, right? And so, what was happening in your life that you think led them to targeting you in that ad?
I didn't even know this stuff existed. Honestly, like 7 months ago, if we want to go back that far, I didn't know this existed. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that people were actually doing remote sales from home. I didn't even know that there were these coaches and programs offering 5, 10, 20, 35K things. I really didn't know how all that even business side of things work. I was just looking up investing stuff. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like my job as it was okay as a construction inspector. I went to college for civil engineering, whole 9 yards in that regard. But I was just looking up like, hey, maybe if I put some passive investing, I can retire by the time I'm 50 and actually not have to worry about a retirement fund, this and that.
Yeah.
And then I started getting ads for drop shipping, this and that. I started getting tons of ads of different ways to make money online. And that was the one that stood out to me because I wasn't looking for a passive, slow building, eventually it's going to yield things. I was looking for something to do and change what I was
Mm-hmm.
currently doing. And that's what I kind of found.
Okay. And so you went through the ad. You paid the full meal deal or just the entry level?
I did the entry level, and then I was very aware that it was an upsell when it was going through that. I was like, yeah, he's trying to upsell me. But I listened to the whole spiel, and I was like, yeah, regardless, I'm sure it's going to help some, whether it's as much as he's saying or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to commit to this. So I just pulled the trigger on the full thing.
Okay. And how long after that did you feel like, uh-oh, something's missing, or, I'm, like you said, I don't have the opportunities, or I'm kind of stuck?
It was like I felt like the training itself was adequate for at least what I paid for. Um, I felt like I was getting a good idea, getting a lot of cool recordings from the more or less what people consider the king of sales, Eli Wild. Which, by the way, I'm currently doing actual trainings with Eli Wild, which is a pretty sick step up in such a short time, going from old 2 year recordings to actually training with his team. So that's pretty cool. But either way, I think it really kicked in when I started to look for an opportunity, obviously. Like I feel
Mhm.
like I had some adequate skills in the sales. I feel like I could navigate a call and help some people through limiting beliefs, stuff like that. But obviously how the hell was I going to find somebody that would teach me their offer, give me the access to their offer, and then book leads on my calendar or give me access to people to even call?
Mhm. So what was your strategy at that time? How were you going about finding a six-figure gig?
Well, the bare bones what I was taught in that program was just join Facebook groups, try to get your name out there, figure out. So I ended up finding the UCM group, or at the time it was just called High Ticket Job Opportunities, whatever, something like that. And I joined quite a few groups like that, was poking around. I ended up running into Hunter and running into Sam. So yeah, I started talking with them a bit, started posting or commenting in the group, seeing some job posts pop up. I applied to a couple of the job posts, ended up actually getting a couple of those opportunities, but they were like just not what I was really looking for. Not something that could actually change my current situation.
Okay. And what were
So
those opportunities like?
just inconsistent lead flow, startup opportunities, people that are looking for their first salesperson. They've been doing all the sales themselves, so they're looking for their first one. They had no structure in place, no. They really didn't even know their revenue unless they actually went and looked at their numbers, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And that was basically the majority of opportunities, or all the opportunities you were finding through job applications and cold outreach.
Just general posts and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. And so obviously, you spent a good chunk of change. What made you open to looking at investing more, because that can be a lot. That's probably the number one thing we hear is like, I already dropped so much money, like, and there's this kind of a little bit of false hope, but a little bit of, I don't know what I don't know yet. What was it that made you even consider taking on another program, mentorship, just more advice, more training?
Well, I think I came into this with, regardless of what I saw on the ads, I think I came in this with a realistic idea of this isn't it. Like, I'm not paying, what was it, $500-$600 for the whole deal. Like, this isn't gonna be my ticket to freedom. Like, I already knew that regardless of what was being said. So I was like, there's gonna be some more steps. I already knew that. So when I joined your original Facebook group, the public one, I didn't even know you guys existed. Like, I couldn't even tell, even through the general post, I didn't know there was a mentorship behind this. I thought it was literally just job opportunities in a post group. And then I found out through Hunter, started learning more, seeing your posts about actual, like a case study starting up, this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me just actually pay attention and and tune into some of the posts that we're seeing and even see what this is about. Like, is it just more sales training, whatever? So I always had the idea that I would have to, or at least leaning towards the idea that I have to invest more. And I already came into it with the idea, even buying into the upsell willingly, knowing it was an upsell of just like, I'm just committing, like it's happening. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed when you came in, like the commitment level was like, it was like, I'll go through whatever I have to do to get there. Just let me know what it is. It was just kind of lacking the right strategy and then, a couple little tweaks and changes. So let's fast forward a little bit. You joined UCM. What was your experience then? Like
just with UCM?
Yeah, like what surprised you, or what did you notice early on, or like what was, your first kind of big aha moment that changed everything?
The aha moment was how little sales training actually mattered. That's what I originally was focusing on. That's what I originally had in mind, and that's what I don't know, that maybe that's what I thought I was getting in more getting into when I joined UCM. And then I looked and it's like maybe one call a week was actually dedicated, one out of whatever it is, 5, 6, 7, 8. I haven't counted them. Wow. Whatever it is a week. Literally one is dedicated to some sales stuff. And that was a huge shocker for me.
Yeah. And so what happened as far as your efforts and results? Did anything change immediately? Like what changed about your strategy?
What changed about my strategy is I focused a lot less on, I don't know if I'm wording this correctly, but I focused a lot less on my internal skills for the actual job I was trying to do, which sounds weird, but I focused on my career, which is a much bigger focus, a much bigger arc. And I focused on like, okay, so cool. Let's say I get into an opportunity and it's great. And then 4 months in, 3 months in, not as great. Something happens, whatever. I have to make an exit, whatever it may be. Where do I go from there? Do I just go back to square one? So it was definitely building up the arc as a whole, a foundation for actually navigating this industry for the 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever years I plan on spending in it.
Cool. I love it. Yeah, the career is a big thing that people forget, that they get so locked into building someone else's business that they forget about building their own career, and that, the business owner at any time, anything can change. They can change their mind. The honeymoon phase can fall out. You can realize, hey, what they're saying, what they're doing is totally different. All those things. And so focusing on the career is a big shift. What about your job hunting strategy? What changed about that?
I stopped hunting. I think.
What did you replace hunting with?
What was that? Sorry.
What did you replace hunting with?
Just communicating with people. Like, obviously, like everyone wants, you get the shiny eyes. Like, you want a job, you want to transition. You're really motivated. You see all these things out there. Like, I want it. I want to do a change. I want to make now. I want to do this now. And I started to accept the fact that it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And for two, it was going to take a lot longer. I wouldn't say a lot longer, but it definitely was going to take longer than I wanted it to, or thought it was going to. And I just accepted that. And I started just having conversations, building relationships, and just letting the people reach out to me. And it says, well, I would reach out to them, but letting the opportunities like fall into my lap, which they started to do.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I noticed is that kind of shifted with you was like the idea of not forcing it and almost being more strategic and more. I found like there was a shift probably in the first 10, 12 days where now you were much more visible. Where I think like when you came in, you've always been a grinder. You've always been someone who's like pure force. Just if instead of using the door, I'll run through the wall, Kool-Aid man style if I have to. But I started seeing more of a depth, more of the human contact side, more of the chess strategy of if I'm in a dark room working away, no one sees that. And if no one sees me, then I'm not building the relationships. And I really seen you become a leader within UCM and also outside of it. And so implementing that kind of relationship and communication and people first strategy, were you able to find meaningful high income employment?
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to find a couple opportunities that I thought were pretty solid. Had a few good interviews. I had plenty of good interviews, actually. And you know, it ultimately just boiled down to I ended up getting a reference from somebody that I know into an awesome opportunity with an awesome company. It's maybe it was a lesson on I didn't know what I wanted, or I didn't know what would work for me. And it's really important to not. I mean, it's obviously you need to pick a niche. You need to narrow your options from millions down to at least thousands. Like, so I got into an opportunity that's very, very demanding. When I say demanding, I mean of my time. Lots of meetings, lots of culture, lots of integrated. Like I wouldn't say you're treated like an employee at all, but you're definitely like you're a part of it, right? You're not just separated on your own. You'll talk to them twice a month, and you'll get your calls, and it's not like that. I really wanted the I'll talk to you twice a month. I want to run my own thing. I'll just take your calls. I'll send you an invoice. I was expecting that, and that's what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
But you just go with the flow, and I ended up somewhere where I actually really like it.
I love it. I love it. And you said you got referred by someone you know.
Mm-hmm.
How did you meet that? How do you know that person?
Yeah, through UCM and through the case study that we were both a part of.
Oh, okay. So it was someone within UCM and they identified you as someone that they will want to refer.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a few conversations with him. I was on a couple calls with him. And he ended up just finding an opportunity. Opportunity landed on his plate that he didn't want to transition out of what he's currently doing. And he's like, hey, I can reference you some people if that's what you'd like. And I ended up being one of the people he referenced.
I love it. I love it. That's for me. I think referrals. And there's no thinking. I know referrals as a number one source of new hires, especially for the top opportunities. They know when people are hiring. They know that, and they want to get in the good graces. Right? If they refer a rock star, then they get credit for it. It's an easy opportunity. And so being realistic, because you could say the earning potential is $1 million a month, but being realistic, looking at real numbers within your organization, like people who are hitting certain numbers, what's the earning potential monthly in your current gig?
I think it's really important to note one thing is that I actually truly believe in my heart that this is rising at a ridiculous rate, higher than I've actually seen. But right now, I think it's realistic to hit $20K a month without being a sales guru that knows everything in and out. There are people who are hitting 30K if they put in the time and effort and open up their calendars a lot. So very, very possible. I think with reasonable opening, not killing yourself, not taking 12, 13, 14, 15 calls a day, something ridiculous like that. I think it's more than possible to hit 15K a month, 20K a month.
Beautiful. And is there room to grow in the company and get promoted? And are you stuck? Because I know a lot of pipelines now, you kind of get stuck in setter and they're like, okay, you're going to be a setter for 6 to 12 months. and then, we'll teach you to do outbound closing, and you do that for 6 to 12 months. And then 2 or 3 years later, now you got that inbound closing role, even though the program they're selling you is teaching you inbound closing. Is there a lot of room to grow based on performance?
There's opportunities to grow you literally go so many different ways with this. Like, there's opportunities to grow for leadership, where it's once you get in leadership, you take you get a percentage of whatever your group that you're leading does, which is obviously huge on top of whatever you earn personally through your closes. So huge opportunity there. There's also, like, as far as your numbers go, they give you lots of opportunity to improve your numbers. So numbers are very important in this industry. It's a performance-based industry. So obviously, if your closing rate is absolute, like, trash, then you're going to be like, okay, so what can we do to improve that? How can we look? Can we get you on more sales CEO with Eli Wild? Can we do more of that? Can we do this? Can we do that? But also other opportunities, like, okay, well, what if we just dial back your inbound calls? Maybe you're taking 4 a day, but we have a wait list of 1,000 people, 2,000 people. We have no-shows. We have canceled appointments. Hit that list, and if you close any of those, it's a close without counting as a live call. So let's say, like, if I take 2 live calls, I don't close either of them, but I close an outbound, I have a 50% close rate, because none of my outbound counted to that. So just lots of opportunities in that area. Like, I love it. I think it's a really good system.
That's amazing.
You're never like backed into a corner where you have to worsen your numbers for the chance of improving them. And anything like that. It's
I love it. Tons of opportunity. Do you work with, is there anybody else from UCM that you work with?
Oh yeah. I think like I think like 6 or 7 of us ended up onboarding into this company, learning a bit, maybe even 8. Wow. And then slowly figured out not all of us liked all the meetings, not all of us liked the commitment, all that kind of stuff. So some of us ended up transitioning out, but there's still 4 of us in there. Do you want me to name names? Can.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
No, but and did they find it the same way as you did through referrals?
Yeah. Every single one of us, all 8 of them, actually.
Wow.
All 8 of us originals.
Amazing. Okay. And so you've been in our group, both the free group and UCM, long enough. You've seen some people succeed. You've seen some people struggle. Like, what do you think is the difference maker in what you've been able to do in such a short period of time compared to some of those people who just seem kind of stall out or fall back? Like, why you?
I think a big answer to that is also, what's the difference between me during the first couple months versus the last 4 months or so. It's the same thing. It's my personal motto, and it kind of ties into my tattoo and all that kind of stuff, but it's, how far are you willing to go? I've had this motto for a long time. I just never applied it to actually income for myself.
Yeah.
It's how far are you willing to go? Like, right now I'm living a more balanced lifestyle, but for pretty much the past 5 months, I cut out, like, video games were a huge passion of mine. I cut them out entirely. I didn't play anything for like 4 months. I stopped cooking as much for myself, which I love to do. I stopped doing a lot of things. I literally didn't participate in Christmas. I didn't participate in Thanksgiving. I didn't buy people Christmas gifts or birthday gifts for 6 months, including my fiance. Like, she was super supportive. She understood it was going to go that far. I mean, the question is, how far are you willing to go?
You went all in, man, and it's paying off. It's paying off. So what is your anticipated income this month?
For May or for April?
Let's go with May.
May, I'm definitely going for over 10K. Like, I was really close last month to 10K. There's no reason I shouldn't hit 10K this month.
Beautiful. I love it.
If I don't, it's 100% my fault.
That's it. That accountability, man, the ownership. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so this is, when people hear stuff like this, sometimes it kind of triggers certain things in them, and they look at the differences. So I'm just assuming, because you've been so successful, that you had a lot of money to invest coming into UCM. You had a ton of time, everything. You were in a different position than most people. Is that correct?
I'm not gonna lie to anybody. I think I was in a better spot than some people are, but I don't want to like puff it up. I put pretty much everything on a credit card. I was in debt when I joined this program. I didn't have money in the bank account, and I made enough money to where I wasn't scared about bills. So I was in that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
And then as far as time goes, no, I was about as worse as it gets as far as time goes, though. 6 days a week, 14 hours at a 9-to-5 job that wasn't even at home. So I couldn't put in a lot of work while I was at work. Very, very active kind of employment. So not a lot of
you
dead
made the
time.
transition working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah, 14 hours a day, including travel. So 12 hours a day, but an hour both ways.
Wow. Because that's probably one of the biggest things that we hear people say is like, I'm overwhelmed, my 9 to 5 and this and that. How did you, like, that seems like a lot. How were you able to navigate that?
Maybe it didn't. In my background and just my career in general, I was building up my career as an engineer and as an inspector. I'd put in 120-hour weeks, 140-hour weeks before. It wasn't pretty. I slept on job sites, but I was kind of used to that workload, at least in that area. So pulling 80, 90-hour weeks and then coming home, putting in a few hours into this, dedicating my Sunday to something like this, it wasn't. I mean, it may sound ridiculous, and it's certainly like I didn't have any work-life balance. Like I was hurting myself physically and mentally, but it's temporary, right? You heal yourself on the back end. Healing comes after the breaking that has to happen to grow.
I love it, man. I love the mentality. And so, do you have any advice or words of wisdom for our audience and people who are maybe making that transition or who went through a program and haven't got the results they want? You know, I think a lot of people, like I said, want the results that you're getting now, and especially you're just getting started. I think there's nothing but growth. You know, we talked this week about, you know, that 20 to 30K a month, you know, very shortly. And that's for most people more than a dream. So what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out or has been here a while and just hasn't got the result that they wanted?
Well, my 3 biggest takeaways, we'll start with that, is 1, it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take. So accept that. Like, make sure you're ready for even a year journey. Like, no one hopes it takes a year. It didn't take a year for me. It doesn't take a year for a lot of people, but like, I don't know, just prepare for that. Make sure you're actually in a good spot. Like, not necessarily a good spot, but make sure you're not going to, I don't know, kill yourself. So second thing, it's going to be harder than you think. You're going to have to make sacrifices. If you don't have to make sacrifices, you're in a ridiculously good position. And I don't know why you're already not hitting it as hard as you can. And third, despite what I just said, you can fucking do it anyways. Like you'll find that you have such a higher potential than you actually think you do. You'll push a lot harder than you think you can. You'll accomplish a lot more than you think you can. But you just got to commit. Like, you can't be this, well, I'll do it when the time's right. I'll do it when the ducks are in a row. Because you'll be in this industry, you'll be on the phone with people with that same mentality. You'll have to talk them through it. The people that want to wait till the ducks are in a row, the people that want to invest in your program, but they're just scared. They don't want to commit fully. You can't be a hypocrite. Sales is the Hunter said it best. Sales is the ultimate battle of hypocrisy industry.
Yeah.
So just commit. Stop being scared. Stop wondering the bad what ifs. If you're not starving, if you're not in a risk of being homeless and starving, there's no reason you shouldn't be going full force, in my opinion. Like, maybe that's a bit insensitive, but
I love it, man. I love it. Teach their own too, right? Like I can only share my experience. You can only share yours and what worked for you, and hopefully it connects with people. And so I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're just flat out and got a lot going on. But you mentioned like sales training was not enough. Like, what areas do you think other people should be focusing on while they're developing their sales skills that would really propel them forward?
1, your communication skills. So this is actually something that I struggled with more than I thought I did, because I like to talk about myself a lot, not necessarily from a selfish perspective, but from a I want to relate to you perspective. And what you realize is that relating to somebody actually doesn't matter much at all. Like, they don't actually care. So developing your communication skills to really put them in the spotlight and make them feel good, make them sure they're enjoying talking to you. That goes for your prospects on sales calls. That goes for the employers you'll be talking to, the people you're networking with. So developing communication skills and developing your mindset. Your famous 3 steps to overcoming a struggle. The acceptance, the what do you call it? What are your exact names for them? 3?
Fuck, that sucks. Now what?
Yeah, it's the release, the acceptance, and the where now. So just mindset and communication skills. Really develop those.
Beautiful, man. Well, I think, like I said, I'll let you get back to it. I know you're crushing it, and I just want to say I'm so proud of how far you've come. Like I said, having done this for hundreds of students, I always have my reserves, or like, what do I have to look out for? And I've seen an internal battle for the first week or so, and we all have that energy of I can do it on my own, and just pure force. And we had a little conversation about a few things, and like I said, 2 days later you came back as a total different human being, and I had no doubts that you were going to be successful. It clicked for you, and you accepted the big picture and not the straight line, and you started to develop, and people started to take notice, and I really think that had a lot to do with your referral opportunities. You were a safe bet at that point, and that's what people don't get about referrals. They look at it as like this selfish thing that I need, and you need to do it for me. But it's the exact opposite, right? When you're someone who people trust and they can leverage you to look good, right? Because you just mentioned it's the what's in it for me. That's what we're all asking, right? And so referrals are the least selfish thing internally. It's about the other person. And if they think, hey, if I can introduce you to this person and they shine, then I shine. And so that was the switch for me. And I'm so proud of you, and so excited for the next part of the journey. And I'm just honored to have been a part of it. And so I really do appreciate you, man.
No, I appreciate everything you've done for me. Like, I don't know where I would be. Like, I'd probably be in a subpar offer, probably still working my 9 to 5, but doing this part time. Like, it was a ridiculous, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like you just put my entire process on cocaine. Like, it started going 10 times faster than I ever thought I thought it could, after my initial expectations were shattered. So
I'm glad.
I'm super thrilled, and you've taught me to disconnect my results from my actions, because I could do amazing action and receive subpar results because of one reason or another. But I could also, I've experienced it where I've performed very subpar and got good results, and I had to nail it into myself not to tie my bad actions to those good results just because I happened to get lucky and it worked out. So you've developed my mindset to a great spot, and your team here is awesome. I'm really thankful for it. Like, sure, I paid for it. Yeah, cool. But the amount of dedication you put in and the amount of like help you provide is ridiculous. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. No, it means a lot. I always say, like, everybody has access to the same resources, the same coaching, the same training, the same support. But it takes 2 to tango, and you did something with it. And that was my vision for this in the first place. So enough sappy stuff. We'll cut it off there. I hope everybody got some value out of this. If you have any questions for myself or Ethan, just put them in the comments. Maybe we'll circle back and answer some of those. But as always, I appreciate all you guys, girls, and it means the world to me that you are part of this group. And I hope you got some value out of this today. Have a great day. Go crush it. Let's go.